Cool. How was that, guys?
That was great.
That was fun?
That was fun.
Yeah. We want it to be fun for you guys. It was fun for us out there. I like to think that the energy's being connected between the rooms.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to it. I mean, first and foremost, thanks so much for taking the time to come and see us. I mean, you guys, I couldn't picture a band that's in any more demand than you guys right now. I was at your Sydney gig. I've never seen the Metro quite so mental. Has this tour been especially mental for you guys, or is it kind of like this everywhere you go these days?
Well, Josh and I were talking about, how we always dreamed of being able to play in front of people, even in our hometown, and to kind of be on the other side of the world and being able to see people know the words and sing back to us. It's something that will never really get old, and it's inspiring, really, is what it is.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about the planning that went into the headlining shows, because you guys have been here before. You guys supported Paramore, but none of your fans got a flavour of what you guys would be like in a headlining capacity. Did that mean you had to kind of rejig the show and come up with some cool things, or how much planning went into it?
Well, when you open for a band, you only have a small window to kind of show everyone this is what we can do, but we only have 25 minutes. And so as a headline show, you kind of know that you're in charge of the entire night. It gives us a lot more options, a lot more ways of taking the room places. We like dynamic in a show where there's maybe a soft part, and then that kind of is demonstrated in how the audience can be a part of the show, and then we bring it back up. And so playing to people who know who we are and who are invested in the album and the music that we've written is truly one of the our favorite things to do.
Cool.
And so it's a little bit of a different mindset when you get up on stage and go, okay, I got to impress all these people who don't know who we are. When you get up on stage and you just know that everyone is there to see you succeed and they want you to succeed, that gives you a little bit more confidence.
Absolutely. Now, tell me about the nerves of performing a headlining show in a city for the first time, because you guys don't make it easy for yourselves with your live shows. You're doing drum offs and with glow-in-the-dark sticks, and you're jumping off instruments and all that kind of stuff, which I'm sure you've done a million times. But when you're doing it in front of a crowd you've never headlined before, is there a little bit of nerves involved?
I really just look over at Josh and see whether or not he's nervous, and if he's nervous, then I get nervous. But he's a man of steel when it comes to nerves. He's pretty much the coolest guy I've ever met.
So there's never any nerves because.
Well, it's actually the harder I play, the more nervous I am. Actually, it's the other way. The more nervous I am, the harder I play. So
Okay.
if I'm hitting them real hard, I'm super nervous.
So you're beating the butterflies away, just playing harder. Good. That's a good idea. Yeah. Cool. Now let's talk about the music. So you guys were kind enough to release the Quiet is Violent EP just before you arrived in Australia. I guess to G up fans about what they can expect from the live show. But let's talk about your upcoming album. So there's no date. There's not too much information going on around it. But the follow-up to Vessel, where are we at with it?
We've been traveling the last 2 years. Just been on the road pretty much nonstop, and this album that we have out now, it was written in my basement, with really no knowledge of how far it was going to go or if anyone was going to hear it. So, when you have to write and now there's going to be people who are going to listen and people who are going to hear, what
a
you
lot
make.
of people.
It adds a pressure to it, and that also kind of being on the road, it's kind of hard to capture everything that you're thinking. But I will say that live music is one of the more inspiring events that any human can go to.
Right on.
So it's the perfect place to be when it comes to looking for that inspiration. And so we've been writing stuff and just putting stuff together, and hopefully, our goal is to try to make it a pretty smooth transition as far as like what we're doing now with our album we have out now, and then releasing new music, because we come from the school of thought of just trying to get something out there as soon as possible.
Cool.
So.
Sweet. Well, I mean, there's really no indication of where you guys are going to go with this record, considering no two tracks on the previous album are the same, And talking about making things difficult for yourselves, surely writing this music, isn't as easy as a band who say settle for the middle of the road thing and aren't really trying to make waves. Is it hard to pen this kind of music, or is it something that just comes out of you so naturally?
Well, I think that it's I don't think we realized it, but we really set this up to let people kind of in on this world where there aren't many rules when it comes to what you're able to do with the music and where you can take it and what sound you can go for. And we don't really fit into some certain genre or however you want to categorize it. So I think that it kind of gives us a freedom now that we realize, if people were able to dig what it is that we did when we had no idea what sound we were going for, maybe we can continue to have no idea what sound we're going for and just do whatever it is that we feel like we wish other people were writing songs like this, and that's kind of, we like listening to our own music, which
Cool.
is kind of a weird thing to say, but you'd be surprised how many bands and artists are involved in projects that they don't even like that style of music. They
Right.
listen to something completely different. So now we're excited about what we have to offer in the future.
Sweet. So minimal planning is involved. You're just going to doing
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we have no idea what's gonna happen.
Is there like a rough ETA about when the album's going to drop? Anything like that?
Kind of like in the future?
Good. That's good. That works. You know, I guess yeah, sometime in the future we can.
Yeah,
settle
no, I
that.
mean, like I would say that like next year's an easy, like huge window to say it.
Yeah, that works.
Obviously, we're gonna
2015.
we're gonna push for it to be as soon as we can possibly get it out there.
Sweet as.
So
And what do you reckon once that's done? Another headlining Australian tour?
yeah, no, I mean that's why we came over here. It's kind of towards the end of this album cycle. And the decision was, you know, do we kind of just wait for the next album cycle to come out here and do our own headline thing? But we really wanted to get out here and establish those people, those kids, and those people who are really going to kind of set it up for us to kind of come back for the second album and really make an impact. And it's all them. They're the show, so they know that now.
Well, hopefully the Metro that I saw, that crowd was enough of a crowd to give you guys some comfort in returning.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was an awesome show. Josh wasn't that nervous. He was pretty.
You weren't hitting that
chill.
hard. I thought I noticed something.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, boys. Are all the questions I got for you. Thanks so much for putting up with me. And yeah, thanks for jamming.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. Cool.